Hi guys, this is Tablet-News.com and I'm here with the Xiaomi Pad 6s Pro 12.4-inch tablet. It's quite a generous device. Although they didn't go all the way to make it a flagship, it doesn't have an OLED screen, it has an LCD screen. Still quite a powerful flagship slate. It has a stylus, it has a keyboard, we have here the stylus. It's got Wi-Fi 7, Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, 6 speakers and the brand new HyperOS. I think it's the first HyperOS device we test. It's applied on top of Android 14. It's got a huge 10,000 mAh battery and it can write with it, you can edit with it, pictures and videos, and you can even shoot 4K clips, and it even has a flash here for the camera. 700 euros is the price tag, and it's been a while since our last review here on Tablet-News.com. Well, we're still here, we're still doing it, and there are plenty of tablets to review. So let's get going. First of all, the device has an aluminum body, which is very slim. It measures 6.3 millimeters in thickness. Be advised, the Galaxy Tab S9 Plus measures 5.7 millimeters in thickness, so it's slimmer. This one is 590 grams, the Tab S9 Plus is 586 grams, so they're pretty close. I have to say that it has Gorilla Glass 5 protection for the front side, and I would say that the bezels are, reasonably slim. It's a pretty well built device, and even though it's a 12.4 incher, I can easily use it with a single hand and my hand will not get tired. However, two-hand usage is probably the best here. I should also probably mention the fact that this handset here, this tablet, leaves enough space for the frame around the screen to put your fingers on, to rest the fingers on, and you're also not going to be bothered and ruin the experience. It's a stylish device, it's a comfy device, and it's interesting to see that they have a fingerprint scanner embedded in the power button here, and I do something like this and I unlock it. The volume buttons are here. Everything is placed right where it should be and it's very comfy. Okay, so the screen, it's time to address the panel we have here. It's a 12.4-inch IPS LCD, which shows 68 billion colors, 144 Hz refresh rate, Dolby Vision 900 nits, 2532 over 3048 pixels. That's quite a lot of pixels. And the experience goes something like this. It's a bright panel, also very crisp. A lot of colors here, with wide view angles, and it can even handle its own in full sunlight. Excellent contrast. It's good for editing. The IPS panel here is more accurate than an OLED. The OLED makes the colors blow up a bit. They makes them too vivid, at least for some people who have to work properly with content. Okay, so we also tested the brightness with a lux meter and achieved 834 lux units. That's quite a solid result, and it's above the Huawei MatePad 11.5S Papermate and above the Galaxy Tab S7 Plus. It's below the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 FE Plus and the Huawei MatePad Pro 13.2. There is a lot of features here to cover regarding the screen. So if you go to the settings, you're going to be treated with things in the brightness area: screen brightness, auto brightness, a special sunlight mode. There's also a color scheme with lots of tweaks, including advanced ones, color gamut options, but the original should always work. There's a reading mode, there's a refresh rate mode, and AI image engine, which enhances the resolution and image when watching videos, plants and animals. There's also HDR enhancement, and this one here for additional frames for a smoother transition. Okay, so in the meantime, when I talked about the design, I forgot to show you the accessories. So we have the stylus here, which I'm going to address closer to the end when it's all about productivity. You attach it like this magnetically, it charges like that, and you can use it for various modes of input. Once again, we'll address it in the final software part. Now, we also have this cover accessory. It's a very interesting, I almost said keyboard cover. This is not a keyboard cover, it's just a cover for the device itself. It's got a lot of magnets here, and this is the way it folds, which makes it original. It folds like this, can turn it to a stand of sorts. So let's see how it snaps onto the device. First of all, let me show you. I have a bunch of pins here used to attach accessories. Obviously, you're going to use the camera area as a landmark. You close it like this and like this. This is an area where you should store your stylus. So that's why we have this little extra flap here, so you can allow you to store the stylus and leave some room. Closes magnetically, protects the device, and let's see what happens if you open it up with that partial area there. Okay, this here can be used to maybe prop it open, I think, but you'd probably have to open it in a different way. Maybe something like this, or I don't know. Maybe. Not sure how this prop should work. I think I'm going to have to look into it. But it's an interesting feature, this one. Maybe like this. Hopefully it will not fall. This is my first thought when I saw this. Or maybe you're just going to see parts of the screen. Let me try this. I'm actually having a ball now, enjoying this accessory using the fingerprint scanner, and let's see what happens now. Okay, so if I just want to look at the screen and see what's happening, I reveal it partially and do this. I can do some interaction with this part of the screen just by looking at it partially. I think that Apple also has something similar at some point. It's very sturdy, that's for sure. Okay, now putting the accessories aside for good, we can definitely focus on the device itself. This is supposed to be a premium tablet. If you don't want premium, there's also the Redmi pad out there, which, by the way, we're also testing these days. And I think we're done with the screen and the design, and we can definitely address the, well, CPU. For the CPU, we should have the AIDA app installed. If not, we can definitely go to the settings and dig into it. So, about tablet, you can see here that we have 256 gigabytes of storage, 8 gigs of RAM. You can see here all the required info. You can also add extra RAM with RAM expansion. Detailed info and specs. The processor is the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. Octa-core, 3.19 GHz. For the RAM, you can also add, as I said before, extra RAM. And I have to say that the tablet is doing pretty well as far as the specs are concerned. I didn't notice any heating, and I also didn't notice a large amount of throttling. So there was a throttling test done at some point. You can see here we have a myriad of benchmarks. And let me just check out the area here. Benchmarks, throttling test. It throttled to 84%, so it lost 16% performance, which is not exactly bad, but it's the bottom of the top we did here among other tablets. Okay, so it also doesn't overheat even when playing games, and even though it's so slim, not as slim as Samsung tablets, but still pretty slim. This is the Antutu result. It's shockingly the first place tablet, beating all Huawei's, Redmi's, and Galaxy tabs we've tested recently. 3D Mark Wildlife also on the first spot, Slingshot Unlimited on the first spot, Solar Bay, this one as well, and it's doing quite fine in benchmarks, as you can see for yourself. Only various Galaxy tabs may beat it. The Tab S9 Plus, I googled some results for that model and it beats this one, but not by a huge margin, so that's something to remember. Now when it comes to the temperature, there is no problem here whatsoever, so you're not going to be treated to any form of overheating. That's a plus. Okay, so now let's talk about the battery. We have here a pretty impressive unit. It's a 10,000 mAh unit with 120 watts wired charge, which is huge. It's possibly the fastest charging on a tablet ever. You're supposed to get 45% in just 30 minutes, in just 10 minutes. Let's see how we did. So, first of all, the video playback test. Not very impressive, 11 hours and 40 minutes. It's just so-so. It beats the Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra and some of the older iPads, but it's below the Galaxy Tab S9 FE Plus and some Huawei MatePads, including the Pro 13 unit. PC Mark is also underwhelming, 9 hours and 14 minutes, I expected more here. It may be above the Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 Lite or the Tab S8 Ultra, but it's below at least 11 other models, including the iPad 10 from 2 years ago and also Galaxy Tab S9 FE Plus once again. Now the charging is very strong. Just 43 minutes is the fastest charging tablet by quite a margin, and after just 15 minutes you're at 43%, which is quite impressive. Now, aside from that, we are promised to have here an impressive array of speakers. You may see that we have one hole here, one here, and another one here. So yeah, that's the setup we're dealing with. There may be 4 grills, but there are actually 6 speakers available here, which is kind of impressive. And they have Dolby Atmos. So yeah, there's that. Now the experience will be put to the test right about now. So let's do the sound test thingy. Okay, so one of the most amazing sound systems on a portable device ever. It even beats quite a few laptops. Very, very deep bass, excellent high notes, no distortion, great voices, but the device vibrates quite a bit. If that's a problem for you, for me it's not. We have a measurement here of the decibels, 93.4 decibels at the top and 90.8 decibels at the bottom, well balanced set of speakers. With these values we beat the Xiaomi Pad 5 and the Huawei MatePad 11, but we're below the Huawei MatePad Pro. In gaming, not as impressive, 97.9 decibels. It's above the Galaxy Tab S9 FE Plus and the Huawei MatePad Pro 13.2, but below the Galaxy Tab S7 Plus. So yeah, there are also some equalizer options in the Dolby section of the settings. As usual, when I always test a tablet, I keep mentioning I will never use a device bigger than 10 inches to take photographs, even though it has a kick-ass camera. At the front, we have a 32 megapixel shooter with Full HD capture for your video calls. At the back, things get pretty complicated. LED flash, 50 megapixel main camera, 2 megapixel bokeh camera, 4K 60 frames per second capture, and a few useful features for your, well, needs. Okay, so we have here a document capture. We have the video mode, photo mode, portrait mode, and the more section, night shot, short video, dual video, and the director mode. Director mode feels a bit overkill, but it offers extra tweaks for white balance, focus, shutter, ISO, and exposure. The camera is, I would say, good enough, closer to a level of a, let's say, Samsung Galaxy A from 2-3 years ago. That's the most I'm going to say about it. When it comes to connectivity, the device provides you with the Wi-Fi 6E and even Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 5.3 NFC, for file transfers, by the way, and there's no cellular version, sadly. USB-C 3.2 port available here, and we did a speed test, and let's see what came out of that experience. We go here and here. Okay, so 656 mega per second in download, 748 mega per second in upload. I would say we're doing quite fine. Now, as far as the software is concerned, it's Android 14 with HyperOS on top of it. I love the fact that we have a fingerprint scanner in the power button, which is very fast and snappy to react, very accurate. We have a taskbar here at the bottom, which succeeds the applications we've opened up recently and the most useful ones, the most used ones. Now, if you are inside an app, the taskbar isn't available, but what's available are those 3 points here, which let you do some multitasking. You can even have 2 apps open here at the same time. Of course, we also have this multitasking, so you can even press one of them and activate the multitasking mode like this. Half a screen for this, and sadly this app doesn't support, so let's start again. So once again, this will go to half a screen, and then you can select the other application from here. So right now you definitely have split screen and you can interact with those two. You can minimize one of the apps and have it floating on the screen, or you can do several other things, swap them, replace them, make one full screen, or you can even keep them here, or you can have it floating around the screen and split your screen in more. Or you can split the screen in two and have an extra floating app if you really want to. So yeah, that's for multitasking. Swipe to the left side, you're treated to the news feed. If you keep the screen pressed or pinch it, you can see the widgets, which are very similar to what we got in the MIUI age. Swipe down from the right, you see the quick settings. Swipe down from the left and you're going to see the notifications. Here there's an interesting mode. There's this one here. It turns the experience into a Microsoft Windows-like experience. So we have this app here, we have this app here. Sorry for that. You can keep opening apps like these in a succession, and even YouTube, for example, just like on Windows, and you can close them with an X if you want to. So yeah, that's a simulation of the experience with multiple windows. This should work fine if you have a keyboard and mouse attached, I imagine. So yeah, that's kind of cute. Okay, and when you're done, you can deactivate it from here. Okay, so what can we find in the settings department? Well, let's see. Okay, so we have the about, we have features for tablets, wake up screen when returning, detect presence, floating windows. The floating windows are these ones. You can drag an app from the sidebar to the center of the screen to have it open in the center like this. No? Or maybe let's try this one. Maybe let's read it again. So floating windows, drag an app from the sidebar to the center of the screen to open it in a floating window, or to the side to use split screen. Okay, you can also get smart suggestions, moving and closing floating windows, hiding them, gestures. It's interesting that not all the apps seem to work, so definitely not going to open the noisy one. So if I want to do this to the side, it's interesting that it doesn't quite work, or maybe it's not all of them that are available. Anyways, let's get back here and see what else we have. So workstation is another feature which you saw before. This opens the apps in floating windows. This time it actually works. We have conference tools, beautify subtitles and other features during audio and video calls. We also have parallel windows, basically another way of saying split screen. And aside from that, we have the customization and interconnectivity here. We can interconnect with your Xiaomi or Xiaomi phone or Xiaomi watch, for example. There's home screen plus, transfer items via NFC, which is what I mentioned before. The NFC area is here and should do transfers. You can share a clipboard, for example, and much more. Okay, now I think it's time you met the Xiaomi Focus Pen. It's actually pretty special. I didn't expect much from it, but here we are with this nifty accessory. Okay, so there are features for it. Stylus and keyboard. And this is the keyboard features in case you want to see them. I don't have the keyboard sadly, but you can create custom shortcuts, natural scroller and pointer speed. Okay, this is the stylus. It has 3 buttons, one for writing, one for screenshot, one for spotlight. There's actually a lot to do here. You have a presentation mode where you can point, highlight and turn pages, believe it or not. Just like a pointer for PowerPoint. And you can do that. You can highlight areas. You can press and hold to draw, then release to stop. Double press or tap the screen to erase remarks or even turn pages. And you can use the remote shutter for the camera, which is not unheard of. You can write, you can take a screenshot and draw on it. So there's a lot to happen here. Okay, so let me just try and use them. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to do the screenshot thing. Okay, so now I can take a screenshot like this and I can do some editing on it. I can even write on it, take annotations and things like that. So the screenshot button, yeah, checks out. Now let me try the writing button. I keep it pressed. And I just tap the screen to start writing. So keep it pressed and say, oh, just something like, hello, friends. Horrible handwriting, I know that much. Okay, and then we have the third button, which is spotlight. Actually, I love this one the most. It had 0 expectations from it. It's just like a pointer, laser pointer for your presentations. And you can once again highlight text and turn pages. Now, all of this is put to good use with a special application, which should be here somewhere. It's called Mi Canvas. It has a lot of brushes, and when I say a lot, believe me, a lot, truly a lot. Grids and sliders galore. You can go back here. You can see here several attempts of things I did. Okay, you also have here lots of some schematics and things like that related to math. Note taking during classes is one example of things you can do here. You can draw, you can write. There's handwriting recognition. So let's maybe create a new document, start from scratch and press here. Aspect ratio, insert text, shape, draw with fingers and stylish shortcut. Okay, so insert text. If I keep handwriting, hello, it recognizes it. You can write more complex sentences, it will be turned into regular text and you can work with it later on. You can also do vocal input if you are not happy with what you're getting here. Aside from that, you can highlight text, you can do a lot of things. It's a very comfy stylus, I'll give it that much. It's angular, perhaps that's why. I don't like the styluses which are rounded. So yeah, that all checks out in a very nice way. There's a lot of things you can do here. Let's try even more features. So there's this brush here, this one like a pencil. The input lag is non-existent. I know that Huawei brags about their near link, but this one is also quite solid. I would say that Apple and Samsung are starting to lag behind compared to what the Chinese companies are doing nowadays. You can also use this ruler here and draw, well, straighter lines, or at least attempt to. There's a lot you can do, that's for sure. Okay, so that's the stylus, and I think we have reached the end of the review where we should start talking about the pros and cons. On the pro side, it's got a solid build. It's a very comfy tablet with a great stylus, excellent multitasking, a very bright display with no notch, the fastest charging on the market, exquisite speakers, and of course the fingerprint scanner is always a plus. Those are the pros. On the cons, battery life, I wanted more from the battery life. I also expected a 4G or 5G version even. I'm sad I didn't get the keyboard to play with it. There is no IP certification. HyperOS doesn't provide a huge jump from MIUI, to be honest. And there's no AMOLED screen, even though I'm not exactly complaining about that, because we do have a solid IPS screen here. By the way, I forgot to mention the note-taking application, so you can start typing or writing, what have you. Let's maybe write something like, let's maybe delete this and say Stanford. Okay, great. So the recognition works. Okay, so those are the pros and cons. You can also create a lot of things here. It's a creator's tablet all in all. You can edit photos and videos with it, create videos on account of having 4K 60 frames per second. Basically, you're paying less than the Galaxy Tab S9 Plus, but you're doing 80%, 85% of the same things. So it's basically a more budget version of the Galaxy Tab S9 Plus. That's my impression about it. You can do gaming with no overheating, you can do conference calls, you can do multitasking, you can do whatever. Of course, content consumption is great with a very bright screen, but only the battery may feel like a drawback, even though it charges so fast. Now, the pre-installed apps, I didn't show you those. There's all the Google bells and whistles, and of course, these are the apps. There's Netflix, of course, there's music. I installed a game or two, there's booking, there's a file manager. So yeah, everything checks out. So, multimedia creators tablet, media consumption tablet, a lighter version of the Galaxy Tab S9 Plus. That's for me, with a different UI, of course. Goodbye.